In the 1970s, the US Consumer Product Safety Commission had a really good idea. They decided to make safety lapels to promote toy safety. The only problem was that the lapels they used lead paint, had sharp edges, and were choking hazards. The Safety Commission had to recall 80,000 of their own safety lapels. In 1935, Australia were having a real problem with cane beetles. They thought they had a really good idea. Let's bring in cane toads that will eat the cane beetles. Now, almost 100 years later, they still have a problem with cane beetles, but they have a much bigger problem with the cane toads. Don't you love irony? Let's look at Genesis chapter 11. The first verse reads this: "Now the whole world had one language and a common speech." The people had migrated, as they were told to do. If you recall from our previous video, the people were called to fill the earth. And so they'd migrated to a plain in Shinar. But there, they decided to take things into their own hands. We keep reading in verse 3, it says, "They said to each other, 'Come, let's make bricks and bake them thoroughly.' They used brick instead of stone and tar for mortar. Then they said, 'Come, let us build ourselves a city with a tower that reaches to the heavens, so that we may make a name for ourselves and not be scattered over the face of the whole earth.'" Notice what they wanted. They wanted to avoid being scattered over the earth. They wanted to avoid migration. They wanted to avoid being a people on the move, the very thing that God had told them to do. And so what happens in their attempt is they built that tower in an attempt to stay in that one location. We read on in verse 8 that the Lord scattered them from there over the whole earth, and they stopped building the city. It's a beautiful story of irony, a people determined to disobey God, a people determined to stay in one place, a people determined not to fill the earth, not to be a people on the move, were made by God to be a people on the move. So how are you going to respond to this? Well, I've got a question for you. What are you building into your life that might stop you from moving when the Lord asks you to? Are you building towers, or are you ready to be a person on the move?